What's up, CineNerds? I'm JP, and
I'm Ryan from the Whole Damn Enchilada podcast.
he is back with us. We're filming both of these same night. So,
Or are we just wearing the same clothes
same clothes,
and on a different day
different
in
day.
the same place?
It could be either or. This could be a time loop.
Could be.
Yeah, I'm not sure when I'm going to release this one. May pop one with Ryan in between these or something. But so you may get this one a little out of sequence with how we're filming. But yeah, this is without my Ryan, with Whole Damn Enchiladas Ryan.
Timu Ryan, once again. And just like you said, you guys release your shows. Ours just escape.
Well, you guys go live. You guys.
That's true.
You guys, you had the live thing down. I think my Ryan was actually last time Rick was on here. He actually, Rick kind of was doing the whole thing. Well, you guys are so professional. You have mics, you have lights, you have this and that, and of course Ryan was like, well, hold up, you guys have the live thing kind of down. You got a nice layout and stuff with your StreamYard and everything.
Zombie episode, yeah.
So you guys, you got that down, and you guys have a lot of good interactions with people that's talking within your live feeds. So
We need a producer is what we need.
you know what? I think if I had a producer and a guy to actually work, stuff in the background for for the live stream, I would probably do a lot more lives.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We finally got a video editor of sorts.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tiki. He's done a lot of our video packages and things like that.
Yeah.
And our new intro,
Yeah.
which isn't so new anymore, but
You've been using it for a couple months now.
Yeah, a couple months.
I'd even bought one of the stream decks, so I could control when we do live. I could pop things up, but still, that becomes hard. Especially if something random pops up and you're talking about, and I don't have it pre-programmed. So it's it becomes a difficult thing. But you guys got the live down, and that's something we don't do. We do the live chat in our Premiere. And it confuses a lot of people too, because I'll be talking to somebody in the live chat and they'll be like, well, we don't see you typing. How are you doing this?
Yeah.
Well, what you're watching isn't live.
You're answering my text, but you're not acknowledging me on screen. How dare you?
I had one guy get mad.
Listen to me.
Yeah, he was commenting, and I don't mind talking about this because it wasn't. I'm not upset that he's not watching anymore.
Oh,
it's one of those. But he
don't break my heart, man.
Yeah, he was somebody that had literally came onto the podcast just to talk to James when James was with us, and because James wouldn't answer his messages on Facebook, and so he came in our live chat, and just so happened James said something in the pre-recorded episode, and the guy thought that he was talking about him in the live chat, and he got mad. He got really offended and got mad, said something in the live chat, and blocked everybody. And I'm laughing, and I even tried to be cool with the guy. I was like, and I responded. I was like, dude, you do know the video is not live. This is nothing that was directed towards you. But he had already left the chat and went in and blocked us all on Facebook.
He didn't want to backtrack.
Yeah, and I was just like, you know what? It's fine. It's fine.
You know what? I appreciate a man who sticks to his guns. As misguided as they may be.
Not the first one to block me. You're probably not going to be the last.
Me neither. It's been a while. I've been a good boy lately.
I have not.
No,
well, I've been good. I've been good. Let me rephrase this. I've been good, but situations get bad.
Well, you'll have that.
Yeah.
I'm still laughing. He blocked everybody and just bonsai'd out of there.
You can't make this shit up either.
No.
So I had Ryan here watch a movie that I have been a fan of for, God, since I saw it in the early 90s. I think I watched this film on one of the Showtime or premieres or something. or maybe even HBO. It was one of them, called Sundown: The Vampire in Retreat. If you've never seen this one, it stars David Carradine. It has Bruce Campbell,
Morgan Brittany.
There's a lot of familiar faces in this film.
Emmett Walsh.
Is that Rex Manning? What's Rex Manning's name? The guy, he plays Rex Manning in Empire Records.
No, that's I don't know his real name.
I always call him Rex Manning. He's always it's Rex Manning Day. He's one of the main bad guys in this film. There's a lot of familiar faces, start to finish, in this film. So and you had never seen this one.
No, I saw this movie for the first time 8 days ago.
What was your just initial reactions?
I'm going to tell you this right off the bat. As soon as I read, you gave me the list. You didn't expand on it, just the list of what you were doing. And I looked at it, and there was 2 horror movies on there, and I'm like, which one do I want to watch first? And I read the synopsis of both. That's it. I didn't want to look at trailers or anything.
Yeah.
I sort of kind of knew what the other one was, but I didn't know anything about this one. So you know what? I'm like, I'm going to watch this one.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I did, because I had way more fun watching this movie than I ever thought I would have.
It's a fun one.
It is.
And it's not entirely a horror film. But again, this is almost like a gateway horror film. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a gateway horror film, comedy, vampire film, Western.
Yeah.
Kind of.
It was a JP movie.
It was a complete JP movie.
That's what I told Rick, too.
Yeah.
So JP sent me a JP movie to watch, and I watched it. And I really enjoyed it.
Which is funny, because whenever I give movies to my Ryan, I like saying my Ryan. Mm-hmm. He never knows what kind of movie he's going to get.
He's just implying that I'm Rick's Ryan. Which in some cases may be true.
It may be true.
I think it was his wife that said I was his hetero life partner or something. And she's probably right. So stuck with me.
The funny thing is, I'll give him a movie, and he never knows if it's going to be something completely off the wall, silly, stupid, or low budget, or if it's going to be like a really serious, like, award-winning type movie. This happened with I don't know if you listened to the episode, but we did an episode a month or 2 ago for Assassination Nation.
No, I've never seen that either.
So we did this. I had talked about doing that film multiple times with him, and kept pushing it off. And originally, it was a movie I wanted to do back at election time, and then I kind of pushed it off. Then the holiday season happened, and then after the first year, we kind of got a little more political again with some of the films we were picking, and so I pulled Assassination Nation back out, and he did the same thing. He didn't watch the trailers. He didn't read anything about it. He just heard the title, and he goes, Assassination Nation is going to be like a fucking ninja movie or something, And so it's probably a JP pick. It could be anything. And then he comes back in, and he tells all this whole story. And he's like, after I watched this movie, I realized this is a fucking fantastic film, and this is not a typical JP film. And I was like, that's me. You never know what you're going to get, And so, yeah, it kind of gets pretty random.
Yeah, 5 minutes into this, though, I knew I was at least going to like it, because it had a charm to it right away.
Oh, yeah.
Right away.
Well, the opening scene with the 3 vampires sitting on in the swing.
Love them. And then Walsh is one of them.
Yeah. Is so fucking good.
And you don't even recognize him, but as soon as you hear that voice, you're like, that's him.
Yeah.
Because he's got the sunglasses and the hat, which is that I'm like, okay, I get vampires hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
In the last place you'd expect them to be, okay. Because I'm like, why are they in the desert? But then I'm like, it's the last place. Nobody'd be looking for them.
Nobody looking for a vampire in a sunny desert.
Yeah. And they just grabbed a glob of sunscreen.
and a big sombrero.
Yes.
And he goes out to pump gas, and and he ends up. This guy's all coked out. He's literally the opening scene is these 3 vampires sitting on a bench swing in the sun, watching this Jeep come 80 miles an hour through the desert, not even on the main road, through the desert, and he's literally bouncing in this Jeep with it's not even little one hitters of coke, it's scoops, big spoonfuls of coke, and he's bouncing it everywhere trying to snort it. That's how the movie fucking starts, literally. It's the same the rest of the way through the film. It's just as ludicrous as
it never lets up.
No.
And that's not even the funniest scene at that gas station. Because this is Bruce Campbell in the most Bruce Campbelliest role ever.
Yeah.
Obviously this isn't going to win an Oscar, this film, but there could have been no one but Bruce Campbell played that Van Helsing the way that he did. Because when he first comes up to that gas station and takes that shoe off, and there's more sand in that shoe that would fit in that shoe if you filled it all the way up.
I literally wrote in my notes, sand that Bruce Campbell pours out of his shoe. And I wrote that down because he literally, the scene, it's almost questionable how did they shoot this scene, because I don't think there's actually a cut.
Yeah,
it looks like he pulls his shoe off his foot. The camera does not cut.
No.
He picks the shoe up and pours sand out of it, but it's like you said, it's not a little sand.
No.
It's enough sand to fill that whole shoe. His foot would not have even fit in the shoe.
There was enough sand in that shoe to not fill not only a Bruce Campbell shoe, but a Shaquille O'Neal size shoe. Because he goes like this, and it goes on for seconds while it's coming out. And I think there's a couple pebbles in there, too, because you hear them.
Yeah,
who else can make an entrance like that?
It gets pretty fucking bonkers. And Deborah Foreman, who we mentioned in our last recording, was the main girl in April Fool's Day.
Yes.
And she is the love interest for Bruce Campbell in this film.
Love their chemistry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's so quirky in this film, too. And she is a vampire.
Yes. And he is not.
And he is not. He is Van Helsing's
great something or other.
Yeah, grandson or something. And the premise of this movie is basically you have this family, the Harrisons, who are coming to the town of Purgatory.
Great name.
And the vampires in Purgatory are trying to live normal lives, and they have this blood bank that they're creating a synthetic blood. And the device that I guess device is the correct term. The device they're using to create this synthetic blood, there's an issue with it that you find out that Rex Manning actually purposely fucks a part up on it so it's not manufactured the way it's supposed to be, so he can get the Harrison family to come to Purgatory to repair this system for him.
Yeah,
to figure out what's going on.
Because he's like a master engineer.
Yeah.
The husband.
So the premise of the movie is this family's coming here. The dad, he has 2 kids and his wife, and he's coming to fix this to get their factory up and running for a synthetic blood, which he thinks is to help humanity.
Yes.
Which I guess essentially they could use it for that too, but they're using it for synthetic food.
Yeah.
So they don't have to kill people.
It's like they're Soylent Green,
Yeah. And
because not a lot of people are coming through that little town as we see. Because when their initial coked out of his mind guy comes up, they're like, "Oh, it's your turn to pump the gas. I did it last week."
Yeah.
Once a week they're getting somebody to the gas station, and that's not going to feed a whole town.
So the film itself, once it gets into it, you find out that the Rex Manning character, then there's another, not head vampire, but second command head vampire that doesn't want to drink synthetic blood. They want to feed on humans, and they're creating their own army to fight everybody else who will not join them.
Right, to rebel against this new way of living.
Yeah. So, and essentially a war happens, and this is the movie. This is the movie you get. But in between all the seriousness, there's a lot of silliness and there's a lot of comedy. It kind of becomes almost a typical Bruce Campbell film.
Sort of.
But Bruce Campbell's not even the main star.
No, he's maybe like 7th or 8th down the list, really. Yeah.
Because
he doesn't even show up until 20, 30 minutes into this thing.
And even David Carradine, who was the head vampire,
isn't on screen the most.
Bruce Campbell's on screen more than him.
Yeah. And this family is on even more than them.
Yeah. It really focuses more on the family, the Rex Manning character, and the second command character. So it's the big names aren't even in it as much as what you would think. Not to say they're not in it, and they do have pivotal roles. It's not like a cameo. So there's a lot of going back to the silliness, and I had this written down in my notes. The fang straws. What'd you think of the fang straws?
Silly, like you said.
So they have literally a straw that comes up and it splits into two other straws that go up and fit in their fangs. They suck the synthetic blood through their drinks, which that's the kind of silliness you get through this film. The one thing I did write, everything, and not everything, but I would say 90% of all the scenes with the Harrisons. Is it me, or did it feel like a 1960s Disney film?
I get what you're saying.
Has that almost like a 1960s Disney style film, like with the family kind of feel to it?
Yeah, even in the opening in their house or whatever, and even though it's kind of creepy with the younger daughter, which we'll get into more of her later, but they're trying to be creepy, but it still does feel like that's something that could have been like the Leave It to Beaver family or something. Yeah. And like, what hijinks are you kids into today?
And that's almost how they talk.
Yeah.
For the most part. Like, and the opening scene too, with the scene where with the family, opening scene with the family, when they go to the daughter's room, like her room is covered in bloody Cabbage Patch dolls and Hammer production posters with like old like Dracula Hammer production posters and stuff like that.
And the other one's in a costume trying to scare her and chasing her. And
I love that retro Dracula costume she had on too. That was really cool.
Don't worry, honey. She'll do much better in Purgatory, and you don't know that's the city name yet. So when you hear that, you're like, "What?" Or maybe Purgatory will do her some good, something like that. And you're like, "Wait a minute!" And then you find out that's the name of the town. You're like, "Okay."
What'd you think of the bat stuff?
Oh God, not my favorite part, but it fit in though.
It fit
with the theme, and the overall feel of the tone. One really silly side character that I liked was the sheriff.
Oh, the sheriff was great.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
it's just like he was like your typical. Obviously, he's one of them. He's one of the vampires, but he still has that element of actual like cop, small town, like I don't want to deal with this shit today because I don't have to. You know, he just has that. Well,
even so, the scene we were talking about a little while ago with the gas station attendants. So the coked out guy, he ends up getting frustrated with him and like smacks him and like knocks his head completely off.
He heads him. Yeah.
And the coked out guy has a couple friends that are up on the hill, and they see all this unfold. And later into the film, those two people that were up on the hill watching them, they go into Purgatory trying to find the sheriff. When they find the sheriff, he's already went and arrested the old man.
The M. Walsh character.
Yeah, for killing this guy.
Right.
and he's
for appearances' sake.
Yeah, for appearances' sake. And he's taking him into the jail, and they're like, "Oh, you've already caught him. You know, this is the guy. He did this. You know, he killed our friend." And he starts laughing at him.
He's like, "Yeah, whatever."
Yeah, the sheriff just starts laughing at him, and he's just like, "Oh, okay, so you saw everything. Huh? Well, we're going to put you in the jail too."
They put him in the cell right next door.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the scene, well, again, they're trying to keep appearances up. And the diner, they have all the vampires are literally, as the Harrisons are rolling in, and even before when they think that they're rolling in, you have like all these vampires walking the streets. They all have, everybody has an umbrella to block the sun. You had the people in the diner that are sitting there just staring at moldy food
that they're never going to eat because they don't eat regular food. Yeah,
to just make it look like, hey, we're a normal town.
They even have like short order cooks back there flipping burgers and just like okay, they're out of sight and they throw this shit away. That's pretty funny.
What's some of your favorite scenes? I mean,
well.
You usually do a top 3, bottom 3. So
I have a top 5 favorite things about this one. Yeah, I have those.
Yeah, let's go for it.
I'll just mention a couple of scenes right away though. One that we already discussed, Bruce Campbell coming to the guest. It's just so amazing because no one else could have done it just like that.
Yeah,
that was tailor made for him, you know. And it's not even like you said, he's not even the lead or any. You know, he's down the list. But yeah, I'll mention my top 5 favorite things about this. Number 5 would be Richard Stone's score. I love the music in this.
Yeah,
you get that sleepy kind of Western music, and then it changes tone, like especially later when they're squaring off.
Yeah,
you know, the 2 different vampire cliques. He kind of raises the stakes with the music, and I thought it really fit in. Like in the beginning, even with the 3 gas station attendants, you hear that like sleepy, like like you just picture tumbleweeds going in the breeze. So I really enjoyed the music. Number 4 was just the concept in general, because it was something different.
Yeah,
vampires living in the desert in plain sight. Never thought of that before. Didn't know that existed.
Yeah.
With big hats and glasses, and I mean, I guess if the sun doesn't directly touch them, they're going to be okay. They all have long sleeves, gloves. I remember
sunscreen?
Gallons of sunscreen, globs of it. And when he went out to pump gas, he even put those big gloves on. Better to knock people's heads off with it. So just the concept in and of itself, I thought was very interesting because it was different.
Yeah.
3 was M. Emmett Walsh, just in general, being his crazy self. Because he is crazy.
Yeah.
I just started watching that TV show, The Righteous Gemstones. And he plays John Goodman's father, the granddad in it. He's only in a few episodes, but I'm like, I just watched a movie with him, and like I just started watching that show a few days ago. I just got through the first season.
I love Righteous Gemstones.
I'm enjoying it very much.
This new season, I won't go into it, but man,
it's just about to end, the new one. Yeah,
the new season is so good.
I just finished season 1. I'm going to start season 2 next week because I got movies to watch now. I got to watch Hellraiser 5 before that. If I had it the other way, trust me. But no, M. Emmett Walsh is crazier than a soup sandwich in this movie, and he's perfect.
And I always think of him. I think of the movie, the 80s movie, Catch Me If You Can. If you remember that one.
The 80s movie, not the Tom Hanks, Leonardo DiCaprio one.
No, he plays,
which is a good movie.
Yeah. He plays a like a ex-gangster or a gangster-style guy that's it's kind of Fast and Furious before Fast and Furious was a thing. Is this high school kid is racing to betting on car races that he's racing on to try to save the school from shutting down, and he makes a bet with him, and he ends up having to go work for him because he owes him
all this money. He can't pay for it. Okay, that sounds like something I'd like. I don't know that one. Wow, I just know him as a character actor in everything. Yeah, like TV. You know, he's never a star. He's just always there. He's always there, and he always fits. Number 2 and 1 kind of tie into each other, and we went over it a little bit, but the Bruce Campbell and Deborah Foreman chemistry, especially like in that scene too, where he figures it out, where he sees the reflection like on the hubcap when he's about to kiss her, you know, and he's just like doesn't see, and he knows, you know, and he's gonna drive the stake through, and he ultimately doesn't, and they had very good chemistry.
Yeah, no, they were great.
And I'm kind of cheating with my number one because my number one is just Bruce Campbell in general.
Yeah,
because he just, and I'm not one of those guys that is like, I like Bruce Campbell, but I'm not one of those like Bruce Campbell like ultimate fanboys who's going to tell you that like Bubba Hotep is like the greatest movie ever made, because it's not.
It's not.
It's
but
fun.
I enjoy it.
Sure,
it's not.
Like, I have a very good friend of mine who just, anything Bruce Campbell does is the greatest thing ever. I'm not that guy.
See, I'm almost that guy, but I could admit when the movie sucks. And
Bruce Campbell, to me, and I like him. I think he's very good at what he does. He's like the film version of like Mike Patton to me. Yeah, where you see what I'm saying? Like, I like Mike Patton. I like some of it a lot more than others, but not just because Mike Patton does something doesn't mean it's great. Like, I think the record he did with Dillinger, Escape Plan, was their worst album. But I love Mike Patton.
Yeah,
you know?
He's definitely not as good as Greg. And
he doesn't fit.
No,
it was.
Mike's a better singer,
of course, but not for that band.
But not for that band,
right? Thank you for that. By the way, a lot of people are like, "You're crazy." I'm like, no. Love me some Mike Patton. Just not everything he does. So that's how I am with Bruce Campbell. Like, I've always kind of, and it's funny I mentioned that because my friend that's a huge, like, Bruce Campbell is a huge Mike Patton fanboy too. So it kind of ties in.
See, I love Bruce Campbell, but there's a lot of stuff that he's done, a lot of films that I'm just like, Now, I love Bubba Hotep. That one's not one that I'm not gonna say it's the greatest movie, but I love Don Cascarelli as a writer-director, and that movie is just so bonkers. I like it. But when you get into some of his other low-budget science fiction films that he did, like especially in the 90s, there's a lot of shit that he did in the 90s that's just like garbage. But then you have movies that are very meta with, like, he did the movie My Name is Bruce, where he plays himself.
I heard of that. I never saw it.
Yeah, he plays himself in it, and everybody else thinks that he's Ash, but it's really Bruce.
Yeah.
And it gets pretty out there.
I think it's my friend I was referring to that's the hugest Bruce Campbell fan ever is the one that told me about that movie. That would make sense.
Yeah.
That seems like something I would watch, though. It seems interesting.
Yeah. But essentially the movie turns into Bruce Campbell has to go fight a it's like I don't even know what to call him. It's like I don't know if he's a ghost or if he's just like some kind of an Asian monster or a ghost. I can't remember at this point. But he ends up having to fight this thing and figure out how to kill it or trap it as Bruce Campbell, but everybody thinks he's Ash.
Ash. Yeah. Oh, Ash can do it. He's done it before. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm just me, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. That seems interesting.
It's a funny film. It's kind of bonkers, but it's a hard one to find now. It's out of print, and I don't think it's available on digital. So it's like
I'll have to look into that.
That one's kind of a tough one to find. You can probably find it on YouTube where somebody's bootlegged it on there.
One thing I did want to mention about Morgan Brittany, because she has a big role in this too.
Yeah,
she's the wife of the
Harrison's
engineer. Yeah. She has the unique distinction of being, and she's not the only one. There's a handful. She's been in an Alfred Hitchcock film, bringing that back up. Marnie, she's one of the kids in school. An episode of the original Twilight Zone. She's actually was in 3 of them, but one stands out. Nightmare as a Child in season 1. She's actually a lead in that. And then an episode of the original Outer Limits.
I can see
called
that.
The Inheritors, and that's with Robert Duvall. That's a fantastic episode. Her episode of the Twilight Zone wasn't the best, but she was good in it as a child actress. She was just like 8 years old in that thing, and it was very creepy. But her Outer Limits is one of the better ones.
Yeah, I'm looking through the cast right now because I'm trying to remember everybody's in this because there's so many familiar faces, but a lot of them, if I was to sit here and name them, you wouldn't really know a lot of these actors and actresses.
A lot of them are character actors. Yeah, they just say, "Oh, it's that guy."
Yeah.
Or, "Oh, it's her."
Like the one of the 3 old men on the swing. Yeah. One of them is one of the guys from the older guys in Roadhouse.
Okay.
He was in Roadhouse.
See, it's so tough to make them out when
Yeah.
you first see them because they all look so similar.
Yeah.
They're like the old like overall flannel like get up, the hats and the glasses,
Yeah.
and just gray beards.
The one that's not Emmett Walsh, but one of the other ones. He is the one that rented the loft to Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse.
Okay.
He was the one that had the farm, you know.
Okay.
So that was one of the other old men that was on the swing. Was actually that guy.
Ties back into the 80s, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know who that guy is. But I definitely know that guy from Roadhouse.
Millions of people have seen that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some would recognize him.
Yeah.
Maybe not with the glasses and the whole get up, but
Yeah.
And that's another thing too I appreciated about this is the mix of vampires. Some are young, some are old. You can tell some were bitten and converted,
Yeah.
rather, at different times than others.
Well, you had the second in command. He the vampires that he was turning. He turns this like old typical 80s like rocker couple.
Yeah.
And he takes them back to a cave, and then you see the army he's building, and it's almost like that. You see there's people in there that almost feel out of time a little
Yep.
bit, but then you see people in military outfits and so on, and so it's like it's a pretty broad spectrum of the type of vampires and people that are.
And you're just seeing too, like, look at all the unfortunate souls, different walks of life that have all stumbled upon the wrong town at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And how many of them were already vampires when they established that town and started settling it?
Yeah.
And then they're trying to come, feed everyone with this fake blood because they have so many people. They're not getting enough humans there to kill them. And if people, like they, insinuate, so many people end up missing from the same place, you're going to get discovered.
Yeah.
People are going to come snooping around. And you can't keep killing all of them because then it'll eventually get found out.
David Carradine. And this is an actor that I love David Carradine. I've always been a pretty big David Carradine fan. To everything from like Kung Fu,
Of course.
and one of my favorite Chuck Norris movies, Lone Wolf McQuade. David Carradine, and obviously people who don't know David Carradine by his name, you know him as Kill Bill. He as Bill in Kill Bill. He's the main head vampire in this, and I think he's actually makes a pretty incredible vampire.
Very believable.
He's very believable, and he has a lot of those traditional Dracula hand motions. And, he tries to mimic some of that. That's one thing that I really, really liked.
Those Nosferatu hands.
Yeah. Blah, blah. And we didn't talk about the little girls.
Yeah.
And they're a big factor in
They
this
are,
film.
especially one of them.
Yeah. So the Harrisons, when they come to this town, the reason Rex Manning, and his name is actually, I've got his name here, Maxwell Caulfield, but we're going to call him Rex Manning.
That's some catcher in their eye shit, Caulfield.
Yeah. we're going to call him Rex Manning. The reason he is caused the blood making device to malfunction to bring the Harrisons in is because before he was turned into a vampire, he went to college with
Morgan Brittany.
Yeah, with Morgan Brittany and the Harrison husband, which his name was David.
That's right.
They all went to college together, and they dated before they started. David Harrison started dating his wife. At some point, they had separated, and she had an affair with Rex Manning. And so it becomes in question if that second daughter is David Harrison's or if it's Rex Manning's daughter. And you're led to believe that it is Rex Manning's daughter. and that is why he's brought this family here. He wants Morgan Brittany. He wants his daughter. He doesn't care about the other girl. He doesn't care about David. He wants them gone. He wants his daughter and his ex-girlfriend. So that is why he has lured the Harrisons to this.
Well, he sabotaged the whole operation.
So that is why and how they got there. And then you got the daughter that is the questionable daughter of who's the father. I'm trying to find her name. I'm not sure what their names are.
I don't remember the kids' names either off the top of my head.
Yeah. And they don't have a lot of pictures on here for me to decipher which one's which.
We just needed Maury. When it comes to the fate of,
I mean,
Rex Manning, you are the father.
They were at a blood bank. I'm sure they could have got DNA from someplace.
They got samples on hand.
But
89 though, this is 5 years before OJ. General Pop didn't know anything about DNA yet.
But she's a little freak. I mean, we talked a little bit about her bedroom at the in this, where she has like these bloody Cabbage Patch dolls. They go exploring a lot, and they find this secret passage in the house they're staying in that goes into like these catacombs where they find a coffin, and of course they're like, let's open it.
Yep.
And obviously there's a vampire in this coffin. So she's kind of a little weirdo. She kind of fits. You also get the scene with Rex Manning. His name is actually Shane in the movie. Where it talks about where I was talking a little bit earlier about the bat scene. So they transform into these bats, and he flies in and goes in on Morgan Brittany. And when he transforms from his bat to his human form, he's completely naked because
bats don't wear clothes.
Bats don't wear clothes. And the little girl actually sees. The mother only sees the bat, and she actually sees him transform into his human form. So she recognizes that he is a vampire. So there's like all these little things that are happening outside of the comedy that does keep it moving, into a I won't say serious, but a storytelling,
a twisted romance going on.
So it keeps
two of them.
Yeah, because you've got
the Bruce Campbell.
You got the Bruce Campbell one, and then you've got the David Shane and
one unrequited, the other not.
Yeah.
To balance it out.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, when you mentioned the Rex Manning and the one little girl, I actually did have. I was going to come up with 5 things I didn't like about this, but this will surprise you. I really couldn't think of 5 things I didn't like about this movie.
Really?
No. But the one, I'll just say one, because it's the one thing that did kind of thing me. I think the whole daughter isn't the real daughter, like, angle just felt too predictable to me.
Yeah.
Like, right away.
It made sense for a way to lure him there, but outside of that,
right,
there wasn't even much to it other than, other than him by the time they decide to actually start this war. And he, at that point, he's like, well, I want my daughter and I want Sarah. That's really all you get, and is basically him saying, hey, that's my daughter.
Right.
But there's not a big plot point leading up to it other than...
No, because then once the feuding vampire sex go to war, that's the main thing going on.
Yeah. And, one of my favorite scenes in this entire film is during that war. They end up going into we'll back up. They get guns, and
the bullets.
They end up shooting the sheriff, and the sheriff's laughing at him like, you can't hurt me with guns and blah, blah, blah. He ends up shooting him, and he pulls a bullet out, and he says, it's a 45 wood or something is what he says. And so they're wood-tip bullets that they're shooting. So So when they actually go to war, the vampires that are trying to take over to go back to actually feeding on humans are trying to kill everybody with these wooden bullets.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like little stakes through the
yeah,
heart.
like little stakes. So the ones that are trying to live with humanity with this synthetic blood, they get back. They move into the blood factory, and they catch people coming in from the back, and they end up taking their gun, killing them, taking their guns, and start trying to fight the actual war. So it kind of gets to one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and it goes back to Emmett Walsh, where they get pinned down, and they're like, "What do we do? How do we get out of here?" And he's like, "Well, I don't know. I'm an old man." And then all of a sudden, I can't remember what happens now, but he yells and just runs headfirst through a cement wall, or a bricked up wall, and the whole wall just comes down, and he takes off, and it's so like Looney Tunes.
It is, but then you make sense. He beheaded a guy just doing that.
Yeah,
it would make sense he could do it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a vampire. I'm indestructible, other than a couple things.
Yeah,
I can run through a wall.
Yeah,
he just didn't want no part of it because he's like I'm an old man.
Yeah. But
see ya.
I love it though. It feels so Looney Tunes that it
fits with this movie.
It's what this movie is. And he ends up turning the kids in the jail cell.
Yeah.
Too as well before the war breaks out.
To convert them. Try to get more allies.
Because he even tells them, like, they're either going to convert you or they're going to kill you because they can't let you go.
Yeah.
Because you already know too much about
us. That's
right. But you also get David Carradine coming up with crossbows, handheld crossbows to help fight this little war. Then, it turns into an Old West style.
It does.
Battle.
It's like a standoff.
Yeah,
like the standoff part at the initial.
Yeah,
part of it is so cool.
Yeah, it turns in they're pinned down. It's just lobbing bullets back and forth is all it is.
Oh, and we forgot, like, just before that, when Bruce Campbell gets converted.
Yeah. Bruce does get converted. Yeah. So,
and the look on his face is, again, vintage Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, he ends up back at I'm gonna find David Carradine's name in this.
What was it?
Mordeluck is his name. So his whole goal is, as Van Helsing,
right.
He is trying to get to Mordeluck's house. Mm-hmm. He's wanting to find he's wanting to kill this head vampire.
Take him out. Yep.
And so he gets back there. The what's her name? Sandy, Deborah Foreman, takes him there. She essentially pushes him through the skylight, and they capture him. And she ends up turning him because she's telling Morlock that I'm in love with him. I want him. So she does turn him. And it's like you said, typical Bruce Campbell fashion.
The facial.
It feels straight out of Evil Dead, his facial expressions. Evil Dead 2.
Yes.
So he does turn, and then when he wakes back up, he's looking in his mirror. He doesn't see a reflection, and then it's still more Bruce Campbell, typical Bruce Campbell, just overacting facial expressions. So, yeah. So then
we have a vampire Van Helsing.
Yeah, essentially. So you get to the final battle, and essentially you got two things going on. You got David and Shane, which is the Rex Manning character, fighting over Morgan Brittany, and Shane, Rex Manning, is so rapey through this whole film, really, with her. Even to the earlier in the film when he's a bat on top of her in bed, and even to now, he's in the bedroom with her. He always ends up chasing her into the bedroom. So you got the fight between the husband and Shane, Rex Manning. Then you've got the David Carradine Mordeluck, or however you say his name, and the second command, who is Jefferson was his name.
Okay.
And basically it turns into a old West style standoff.
It does.
You know, they finally say, well, let's finish this. You know, we're the same age. You always say we're the same age, and we should be just as strong as one another. Let's have a standoff, and with our six shooters. And David Carradine ends up getting his shot off and hitting him, and he ends up telling him, like, look, I had to change my name. So he comes out that he is Dracula. He changed his name because he was too famous.
Right. Which would make sense, too, why Van Helsing was looking for him.
Well, and Bruce Campbell's Van Helsing through the whole movie, he kept saying, I know who you really are. Yeah. He said it a few times. He's like, I know who he really is. So it was insinuating through the entire film that he knew that Mortlock was Dracula. At this point, David's already killed Shane. He pours holy water on the back of his neck, and his wife tosses him the gun. He ends up shooting him with a wooden bullet. And he goes and starts breaking furniture. And how he builds this ginormous cross in the span of like 30 seconds and puts it up on a roof makes no sense, but this happens. And he puts this ginormous cross up, and you see David Carradine's Dracula turn around and say, we have been forgiven. He has forgiven us. And all the other vampires start, bursting into flames and whatnot. So, yeah. That's kind of the movie. I mean,
basically that sums it all up.
But there's just a lot of silliness in this film.
There is, but like I said, man, I really enjoyed it. I did. Like, I don't even really think like there was a lull anywhere, because it all, even when it got absurd, it was entertaining.
Yeah, no, it's just it's an entertaining one, start to finish, and it's one that I just, like I said, I think I watched it late night one time on Showtime, like as like a world premiere or something at the time.
See, it slipped my mind, this one, because we just did Hellraiser 3, and it's the same director.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I guess I just didn't research that one that much, I guess.
Yeah, I'd actually looked at this director.
Did he do the Waxwork movie?
I was going to say he did, because I looked him up, and he did, Waxwork, Waxwork 2, Hellraiser 3, Warlock the Armageddon, which was the second Warlock film. And then a bunch of shit that I never heard of.
Yeah, same. I did look, and I wasn't familiar with the bulk.
Yeah. Prince Valiant says he's known for, but I will be honest with you. I don't know what Prince... I mean, I know who Prince Valiant...
the character.
Yeah, I know the character, but I don't know the film. So, and I mean, I recognize some of the actors in it, but it's not anything that I ever saw.
So this and the...
He also directed the Motorhead Hellraiser video.
Oh, yeah, because that tied into Hellraiser 3, because that song's from it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I looked his IMDb up, too, out of curiosity before we did this, and I was like, he did Hellraiser 3.
So this one was one of his only shots at his own thing. That, I guess the Waxworks, the two of those were his.
Yeah. The Waxwork was the first film on his IMDb. Okay. So... there was that, and it just says that's his first directorial debut was Waxwork, which is actually, that was a pretty popular movie in the 80s.
So this one he did just before Hellraiser 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he did this.
I wonder if that's how he got the job.
I'm sure it was. He did Waxwork. He did Sundown, then he did Waxwork 2, and then he did Hellraiser 3. Okay. But it looks like he probably did Waxwork 2 and Hellraiser 3 at the same time.
Save money.
Both of them came out in 92, so...
probably used a lot of the same crew.
I bet if you looked
Save money.
I bet if you looked up the IMDb on it, it's probably a lot of the same crew. I couldn't find anything for box office for this film.
No.
I looked multiple places, and Could not find box office. I did find budget at $3 million.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I bet a lot of that was actor salaries, though.
Yeah, there were some names.
So
Just David Carradine and Alone.
yeah. Yeah, and you know David Carradine was never that cheap back then.
Yeah, I figured the location and the sets were all generally the same area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little high, I think, for the time, but not out of the realm.
No. It probably did not make its money back.
Yeah,
I'm assuming.
I'm assuming, and I can't remember this movie being in theaters. But,
me neither.
I don't know if it was or not, but if I had to guess, it may have been a direct-to-video.
Ooh.
So, because like I said, I couldn't find theatrical numbers for it at all, so I'm kind of going to assume that it probably did not.
Imagine being in 1989 and just picking a random movie to go see, and this is what you get.
I fucking love it.
Well, you and I would have, say you're just Joe average normal person, though, and they walk into this thing.
Oh, this has David Carradine in it.
Yeah, exactly, because he's a name.
He was in Kung Fu.
Yeah. This isn't a Kung Fu movie. Ain't nobody doing karate in here.
Ratings. So
Yeah.
we do scale 1 to 5.
Oh.
You do
Letter grades.
letter grades.
Yeah. I was on the fence with this one. I was torn between a B and a B minus. I'm somewhere right in there. But actually, now that I've talked about this with you for like an hour now, I'm enjoying the memory of watching it now. I'm gonna go B.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this movie,
Yeah.
man. I'm pleasantly surprised at how much I really liked this.
And that's kind of about where I sit with this, I sit probably at a 3.9, so that's probably around a B.
Right in that realm.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're both sitting pretty close to the same, same ballpark area. I'd say 3.8 to 4.2-ish probably sits around a B. Because that's kind of where I feel. This definitely not a 5-star movie.
No.
Not a 5-star movie, but it's definitely not so bad that it's...
For people that don't watch our show, Rick and I, I'm a notoriously tough grader compared to most.
Yeah.
And I still give this thing a B. It was fun.
I was surprised. I actually expected you to give this a pretty low... Because I know how hard you are.
Yeah.
And when I was talking to Rick yesterday, he was... He goes, yeah. He goes, he told me he's watched some vampire western or something.
Yeah.
And I just kind of giggled, and I was like, yeah. And he didn't say if you had said anything about it.
I didn't.
Or anything. He just said, he just looked at me and goes, he's going to be really hard on this movie. I said, you know what? I fully accept
If
that.
I genuinely didn't like it, you'd know.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
put it that way.
Yeah.
Like, JP, I want my 2 hours back. I want my money back, and it was free on Tubi.
The thing is, I watch a lot of shit movies, and everybody who watches this knows this about me. But I can find something fun in not most of everything, but a lot of the style of movies I watch, I can find something fun in it that I really enjoy. So whenever I find something that I really hate, that I didn't find anything I enjoyed about this film. And there's been a couple of those on this show that I've been like, no, this movie was fucking awful.
Oh, I know.
I'll never watch this again.
I know how to get you going. I won't do it, though.
Which one's that?
Evil Dead Rise.
What a piece of shit movie that is.
I said I wasn't going to do it, and you said what? I know, that's one of your least favorite for sure.
Well, the thing is, I would probably be like you. I'd probably be less hard on that film if it wasn't titled Evil Dead.
Same. That's what Jason Goes to Hell that's the piece of shit to me.
Yeah. I get it.
Because I'm such a Friday guy.
Yeah.
And he just, yeah. Ugh.
I get it. And I know you hate that one. And,
Oh, yeah.
And my thing with that one is, I guess I appreciate it because it reached and tried. but still felt kind of like a Friday 13th film, to where Evil Dead Rise is such a departure from Evil Dead 2.
It is.
You know, that I can't even feel that they're in the same realm of the same universe. You know, fuck, Rise is so fuck that movie.
See, look what I did. See, I told you I could get him going just by saying 3 words.
or the Exorcist that just came out. What was it, Believer? Exorcist Believer?
I saw that one in the theater.
Yeah, I walked out of the theater just as mad at that one as I was Evil Dead Rise.
It's not a good movie. I thought the lead actor did a good job.
Some of the acting
was
wasn't bad, but it's just
the story was stupid.
Yeah, it was stupid. Yeah. And that was done by what's his name that did Halloween reboots?
David Gordon Green?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a shame because he's great.
Yeah, he butchered it. But now we're getting Mike.
Righteous Gemstones that's him.
Yeah.
And Danny McBride.
I typically like a lot of
Yeah.
stuff he does.
Yeah.
He butchered The Exorcist.
Ugh.
He butchered The Exorcist. But we're getting Mike Flanagan doing another Exorcist film. I don't know if
this year, next year?
I don't know when it's coming out, but I know it's in production or pre-production right now. And I don't know if you're a Mike Flanagan fan.
I know who that is.
He did Haunting on Hill House.
Oh, okay.
Follow the House of Usher. He did Dr. Sleep.
Yes, okay. Which is why The Shining wasn't on my top 5 standalone one, because they did make a sequel 30 years later.
Did have a sequel, and that's a sequel that I actually really loved too.
I liked it.
Yeah,
I don't love it, but I liked it.
I think a lot of that sequel, but also it has Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge Ewan McGregor fan, so got a
Obi-Wan.
You know, and we've talked about this a lot on the show too. I'm a huge Danny Boyle fan, and obviously,
I can't wait, man! It's coming.
I'm a huge Danny Boyle fan.
Is that June? Next
Something
month?
Like that,
Yeah.
So we got 28 years later, but also going back to Ewan McGregor, Trainspotting.
I love it.
Trainspotting. You know that was actually where I fell in love with Ewan McGregor before Star Wars. So
baby Kelly MacDonald, when she was like 20 years old or something.
Yeah. So yeah,
she's done a lot of stuff too. I'm a huge Boardwalk Empire guy. So is Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's when we mentioned that briefly when we went over Sinners, because it just Chalky White and the gang get visited by vampires. Here we go.
Yeah, and I had to chime in on that one. That's why I hopped on those live, because I had.
I know you love your vampire flicks, man.
I had talked to Rick.
Case in point.
Yeah, I had talked to Rick a day or so earlier about Sinners, and he was like, "Oh, this movie's so great," and I was just like, "Really?
It was good.
It was good.
Yep.
But it wasn't that original."
No.
You know, and he's like, "Man, it was so good. It was like From Dusk Till Dawn." I'm like, again.
But you just said it was original.
You just said it was original, but now you're saying it's...
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's why I was like, I have to chime in on this.
I think we teamed up on him pretty good, though, and got him to tone it down a little. Because, as enjoyable as that movie is, and it is, I recommend it. Everybody should see it in the theater, too, man. It was fun.
Yeah.
But is it the greatest? No. Nosferatu was better to me.
I still haven't watched that one yet either.
Oh, really? I really enjoyed it.
I would rather watch Near Dark.
Yeah, I would too. Now that I've revisited it in my head, I've not seen it since I only saw it once.
Yeah,
I need to get on. That's one I should just buy.
Yeah,
that should be in the collection.
Near Dark is great, and I always use this comparison too. You know, and the reason I say this, especially with Sinners, I'm not disregarding that Sinners is a fantastic film, because it really is. My problem is, all these people that were reviewing it are saying this is the most creative horror vampire film in years, and that it's so original and there's no other film like it. And I can name half a dozen other films like it. It's not original. The only original thing is the music.
That's really good. Yeah.
But my thing is, if you want to talk about an original fucking horror film, then let's talk about Let the Right One In.
That's awesome.
You know, or films like that. If we're going to talk about being original, but Sinners is a fantastic film.
Yeah,
I'm feels like I'm bashing it. I'm not.
No, you're allowed to say something's overrated and still think it's good.
Yeah,
you know,
I would give it a high recommend. It's just,
oh yeah.
I just have to argue with these people reviewing.
I think the people that are reviewing it like that and saying it's like the greatest vampire movie in this haven't seen a lot of vampire movies.
No,
Or at least
they didn't.
outside the mainstream ones.
They didn't watch Sundown.
No, they didn't. No, or Near Dark. Yeah, they didn't see that either. All
right. Well, we're going to call it a night, guys. Till next time, we'll see you next week, next Thursday. You can check us out, CineNerdsPodcast.com, and the Whole Damn Enchilada podcast on Facebook and YouTube. They go live. They run their lives on their YouTube and Facebook.
Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Thursdays at 7. So what you do, you watch them at 7, then you hop on over to us at 8 o'clock.
It's a lead-in.
Yeah.
Like network TV back in the day when that was a thing. Everybody just streams everything.
Yeah. All righty. See you next week. Later.